A very good day to all of you. This week we'll be talking about our next assessment, which is the forum discussion. The forum discussion carries 20% out of the 60% of the assessment marks. And for the forum discussion, similar to the individual presentation that we have had a couple of weeks ago, the forum discussion will also be focusing on scientific topics and as well as scientific discussions. So let us take a look at the guidelines of the forum discussion. This task requires students to present factual information, provide appropriate responses, and engage in intellectual discussion in a forum session based on an approved scientific topic. So what you need to do first is you have to, with your group members, 4 or 5 people, what you need to do is you need to find a scientific topic that you think is interesting and also a topic that is up to date, something that is new, something that is interesting to be discussed in a forum discussion setting. So what you need to do is you need to work in a team of 5 members, or in some cases maybe 4 people in a group, and you have to find a scientific topic that you think is interesting, and then you need to make sure the topic that you have chosen is approved by the lecturer. And this topic can be any topic, any scientific topic is possible. So it can be the same topic as the one that you have presented in your individual presentation. Just one topic for each group, just one topic for a discussion. Can be a topic like euthanasia, can also be a topic like scientific topic of the prehistoric world, the dinosaurs, can be about aliens, can be about space, can be about latest latest medication for cancer, cure for diseases, any topic that is related to science. And once you have got the approval, so you'll have to set up the forum discussion with the forum moderator as well as the panelists. So when you have 5 people in a group, so that means you have a moderator, just one person who will be moderating the discussion, the host of the discussion, and the rest of the members will be the panelists. So based on the topic that you have chosen, based on the scientific topic that you have chosen, what you have to do is you have to discuss the problems regarding the topic. For example, if the topic that you have selected is marijuana, whether it should be legalized or not, where euthanasia, should it be legalized or not, abortion, should it be legalized or not. So those are scientific topics, so you have to discuss from scientific points of view. Aliens, for example, you can discuss from this from scientific point of view whether or not the existence of aliens can be proven. For example, should we believe in the existence of aliens, for example? So you have to identify the issues, you have to identify the problems, and also what are the solutions to the problems regarding the topic. We are talking about euthanasia, for example. So what are the problems? Some countries, they legalize euthanasia, some countries no. So the problems, maybe should we legalize marijuana for people who are really sick and cannot be cured anymore? And what are the solutions to this kind of problems? So let's say if you have 4 panelists in the group, so one person is the moderator and the rest would be the panelists. So what you can do is maybe two people can talk about, um, yes, euthanasia can be legalized, and two other people can talk about euthanasia shouldn't be legalized, and you have to come out with your own reasons and justifications based on scientific evidence. Or all four of you, all four of the panelists can talk about the solutions of, if let's say we want to make euthanasia um, not legal, illegal in our country. We disagree with euthanasia, so all four of the panelists can talk about the solutions to avoid euthanasia, solutions to avoid legalizing marijuana, um, solutions to any scientific problems that we have, for example, pollutions, global warming, and other problems that we have, but it has to be scientific. So you'll have to, in your forum discussion, you'll have to discuss. You have to mention the problems of the situation, a scientific situation, and the relevant solutions to the problem. So it is scientific because this is English for science. And the forum discussion will be in class, so you'll be presenting in front of your class members will be the audience, and each panelist should have his or her own stance or perspective. So you have to have your own ideas, your own justifications, your own solutions to the problems, and you can agree and disagree. For example, panelist number one can have his or her own ideas, and you can disagree with the one that is mentioned by panelist number three, for example, and panelist number three can agree or disagree with number one, and panelist number two can agree or disagree with panelist number four. Panelist number four can agree or disagree with panelist number two. So you have to make this forum discussion like a real discussion where you can agree and disagree. It's like you are chatting in your with your group members, with your friends in your daily life. So you don't have to make it too casual. So just make it as natural as possible, like your normal conversation in your daily lives, where you can give your ideas and opinions, justify your ideas and opinions, agree and disagree. When you agree, what are the reasons that you agree? When you disagree, what are the reasons that you disagree? So the forum discussion should take 25 to 30 minutes, 30 minutes maximum. So if let's say you have 5 people in a group, so that is roughly 5 minutes per person. So 5 minutes per person, and so we have roughly 25 minutes altogether. And also please make your name visible by wearing maybe put a tape on your shirt and write your name on that tape. So this is week 11 of the semester. Perhaps we will be doing the forum discussion on in week 13 of the semester during the lecture as well as the tutorial. So if you are the moderator, if you are selected as the moderator of the forum discussion, so what you can do is you can follow this outline. First, you introduce the topic, so it has to be a scientific topic. Mention the topic and then the background of the topic. What are the problems, the issues surrounding the topic? So you mention all the main problems, and then you introduce the speakers. Speaker number one, the name of the speaker, and then the profession. For example, let me introduce you to our speakers. The first one on my left is Professor Doctor from a lecturer from the University of Malaysia, Kelantan, she or he is the expert of um, geoscience or whatever, um, maybe agricultural fields or anything that is related to your topic. So you mentioned the name of the speaker and then the profession. Can be a university lecturer, can also be an NGO, non-governmental organizations, can also be volunteers, can also be science students, can be anything, minister or a director of a department, can be anything, and also the expertise of that person. So you start with speaker number one. Um, for example, you make a smooth transition by having this kind of expression. Now let us move on to the next speaker. Now let us start with our first speaker, which is Mr. Something, and also and you can ask a question to that speaker to have him or her to start talking. Um, it is also the role of the moderator to initiate the conversation. For example, if you find one of the speakers, they couldn't continue with their speech, so you have to initiate, you have to ask simple questions to get them to talk, to get them to continue with the conversation, with the speech. And then you pass the floor to speaker number 2, 3, and 4. You don't really have to follow the order, speaker number 1, 2, 3, and 4. You can make it as casual as you can. For example, you start with speaker 1 and then you move to speaker number 3, and then back to speaker number 1 for 1 minute, back to speaker number 2 for 3 minutes, and then speaker number 4 2 minutes, and then back to speaker number 1 again for 1 minute, speaker number 3 for 2 minutes, as long as they have 5 minutes each for speaking. So you have to make it equal. All speakers, 4 speakers, they have 5 minutes to talk. So not like maybe 8 minutes for speaker 1 and then only 4 minutes for speaker 2, which is not equal. So you have to make it balanced to all speakers to make it fair. Talking about questioning and answering sessions, I think for our case, because we don't really have enough time, so that means we will be avoiding Q&A by the audience, but we can have Q&A between the panelists during the conversation. So that means speaker number 1 can ask during the forum discussion. The panelists, they can ask questions among each other as well as the moderator. So for example, panelist number 4 can ask questions or clarifications from speaker number 2. Speaker number 1 can ask questions for speaker number 3, and those questions should be answered by those panelists being asked. And lastly, the moderator will summarize the points that have been mentioned and conclude the forum based on whatever that has been discussed. So what are the solutions to the problems? What should be done in the future? What actions should be taken to avoid the problems, the same scientific problems, from being happening in the future? So you conclude the forum. So this is the task of the moderator. If you are the panelist, these are the things that you have to do. First, you greet the audience, and if you still remember the tension getter from the one that we have discussed a couple of weeks ago, so you can also have an attention getter. So 4 to 5 minutes of speaking. So in your speech, you mention your points, you justify the reasons, give justifications, examples, evidence based on your experience, based on data from the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Science, any relevant data, any relevant suggestions, reasons or justifications to support your points. You don't need to have a PowerPoint presentation. No PowerPoints, no slides, because we need to save time This is a speaking assessment, so we are assessing your speech. So you need to have a proper introduction and conclusion. No need to be long because just 5 minutes for each person. Um, and also listen to what the moderator or the panelists are saying. Give an appropriate response if necessary before starting your speech. So these things you can plan. You can have a lot of plenty of practices before the presentation, so you can plan the flow of your forum discussion. And so eye contact is also very important, so make sure you have very good eye contact with other panelists and also with the moderator. You can also plan in your forum discussion to have at least one question or comment for and from other panelists in your forum discussions. So I will upload a sample video of a forum discussion onto eCampus, so you can go to the link and see how these students they conduct their forum discussion. And this is not a very good sample. There are some strengths and also some weaknesses being committed in the video, and so you can learn from the video, from their body language, from their eye contact, from their grammatical mistakes. There are two moderators in the video, but for the case of your forum discussion, only one moderator and four panelists. But you have to make sure to choose a very interesting topic, something that is quite latest, something that is interesting. When the audience listen to your presentation, they will pay attention because it is an interesting topic to be heard. And when they hear from your presentation, your forum discussion, they will gain new knowledge. So choose something that is quite interesting, something that people can relate, and make sure your presentation is not too serious, not too formal, but it is somehow casual and interesting. You can also include jokes and funny quotes and interesting quotes, just like what we have been discussing during the first individual presentation. So use the 2 hours period of this week to find your team members and also to choose a topic and get me to approve the topic, as well as get materials and necessary materials points from the internet, from the library, that you can use for the forum discussion. And also you can also start practicing for the forum discussion, but first make sure the topic is approved by the lecturer. So we'll have the forum discussion in week 12 of the in week 12 of this semester, which means the week after next week. So perhaps week 12 and also week 13 of the semester, and week 14 we'll save for the listening assessment. So thank you very much. I'll see you in class. Have a good day.